So I was a pretty good kid in elementary school. I always got to school on time and sat in the front row. Not because I wanted to learn. Well, I just had pretty bad eyesight, so I can only remember a handful of times when I got in trouble. And to be honest, most of them were not even my fault. I swear. This one time in class, our teacher Miss Sushi decided to play a game instead of teach. She must have run out of materials that day. By the way, Miss Sushi wasn't her real name, but her name sounds pretty close to that. So we'll call her Miss Sushi, cause I like sushi. So the game was, one student comes to the front of the class and has to answer everyone's questions, each time by saying the word sausage. Everyone else could ask silly questions, trying to make him laugh. If he laughs, then he's out. And so another student would then come on and replace him. The room was filled with kids jumping around and shouting with excitement. So one kid called Joseph gets on stage and everyone starts asking questions. What's your name? Sausage. Who's your best friend? Sausage. What's your favorite food? That's easy. Sausage. Questions kept popping left and right, but it wasn't challenging enough for Joseph. The questions were too easy. At this rate, he would never laugh. So I start thinking, okay, I gotta come up with a much more provocative question that'll make him laugh so hard he'll fall off his chair. Of course, at that age, I didn't know what provocative meant, but you get the idea. Finally, I thought of a great question, so I pull out my outstretched arm over a sea of hands, all waving for Joseph's affection. Pick me! My eyes screamed at him. When Joseph picked me at last, I said, what is your penis made out of? The class fell silent with horror, and then Joseph gives off a huge sheepish laugh. There, I did it! Look, he laughed! I win! I was about to get on stage to take his place, but then the teacher stops the class, looks at me dead in the eye and says, that was very inappropriate, and I'm very disappointed in you. Go stand in the corner, please. I will have a talk with you later. I mean, seriously, did I do something wrong? It's not like I've never said the word penis outside of class before. Is that even a rude word? I mean, I was simply naming one of the most important organs in the male human body. Probably the most important. Miss Sushi, grow up. Can't we all just be a little bit more mature about it? Actually, Miss Sushi was a pretty nice teacher, but still, none of this would have happened if she had just taught the class as usual instead of playing games. So really, whose fault is that? I bet she found it funny though, but she had to act all professional. I'm sure when she met up with her friends later for dinner, she was like, hey ladies, guess what happened in school today? When we played the sausage game in class, one of my students asked, what's your penis made out of? And then they all laughed their asses off. Now, I might have gotten in trouble that day, but I earned the respect of all my peers. Yep, all 20 of them pre-puberty kiddies. This other time, my friends and I saw a bunch of kids playing near the trees area during lunch, and since it had rained a little earlier, the dirt became mud and was all soft and squishy. It was like they were playing with Play-Doh, so we joined in. We started building houses and making tunnels and bridges and roads, and as a kid, it was the most fun I've ever had. But eventually the bell rings and we had to go back in class. The teachers were confused on why our hands were so dirty. We kept it a secret, but eventually they would find out. But that part would come a little bit later. We decided since it was so fun, we were all going to come really early to school the next day to play again. So next morning, I wake up early and ran to school, bring all my Hot Wheels cars with me. The area was dry this time because it didn't rain, but not to worry. We filled our plastic bottles up with tap water and poured it onto the dirt, and voila, mud! This time, we built wider roads, taller skyscrapers, longer tunnels, and larger bridges. We were having so much fun, but then the teachers all came marching up with looks of disappointment written all over their faces. At last, they had found out. We all got in trouble and were not allowed to play there ever again. The teachers even wrapped yellow tape over the whole area, like it was some kind of crime scene. I mean, seriously, the only crime we committed was having too much fun, but apparently that was considered dangerous. So we argued and complained to the teachers, but they kept saying it was unsafe. Well, guess what? I did a quick Google search. Is it safe to play in mud? So in short, yes, mud is certainly safe for children to play in. There are some precautions that you will need to take, such as, who cares about that? However, the benefits that your children will get from mud play is just amazing. So there you go. That proves my point. The teachers thought about it some more, and a few days later came up with this excuse. Well, you can't play there because it'll destroy the soil and affect the whole plant ecosystem. I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense, but we all know that wasn't the reason why we weren't allowed to play there. Okay, this other time when I came to school in the morning, my friends and I saw a group of kids hovering near the bushes area. So we walked over and found out they were picking berries off the trees. My friend decided to pick one, takes a bite, and tells me that's the best tasting berry he's ever had. I didn't believe him, so I tried one to make sure. And guess what? You won't believe me either, but it was the best tasting berry I've ever had. It was sweet and juicy, and above all, it was free. I couldn't stop eating, nor could my friend or the other bunch of kids surrounding the area. It was like a school trip to some magical candy store. To this day, I still don't know what kind of berry it was. Kind of like a mix between raspberry and blackberry, but also not really. Probably their close distant cousin or something. Of course, the teachers found out soon enough, and we weren't allowed to go near the berry trees ever again. Then they fenced off the area with yellow tape. Again! Miss! Haven't we seen that one-trick pony before? They told us that the berries could have been poisonous. Sure, except that there were like 50 kids that day, all juiced up with berries, and no one felt sick. But apparently, it could have been poisonous. I can just imagine the teachers waiting for all the kids to leave after school, and then taking all the berries for themselves. Whatever happened to sharing is caring? They would then chomp down on our berries while celebrating, and then they would say to one another, "You won't believe me, but this is the best berry I've ever had."